And we are live. Hello and welcome, everyone. It's time for another exciting episode of IT Career in Australia channel. And tonight's topic is top tips to succeed in your screening interview in the tech industry. Thank you so much for finding some time to join me this evening. Please don't forget to introduce yourselves in the comments. Let me know what you do and join this Q&A session with your questions and comments. Or at least say hi for me in the comments so that I know that you're here. Because if you're not saying hi in the comments, I don't know that you're listening. And it would be nice to know that you're here. So, as you know, I'm going live on this channel every Wednesday, interviewing various experts from my network. But tonight, you probably noticed I don't have any guests. I'm gonna, interview myself, and I'm going to share with you my tips to succeed in the screening interview in the tech industry, and just based on my experience as a tech recruiter and head of talent in IT consultancy. So in this Q&A session, I will cover some various strategies such as preparing for common interview question, demonstrating positive attitude, and effectively communicating with the interviewer. So, hopefully by the end of this session, you should have a better understanding how to stand out from the candidates during the screening interview. So make sure to tag and share this video with your colleagues and friends who need to hear this, especially those who's looking for the job at the moment. So before I'll dive deep into this topic, just usual quick reminder for everyone that we're streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So you will be able to watch the replays if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, IT Career in Australia. And I go live there every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Melbourne time. So, and if you want to make sure that you never miss the next show, join my meetup group to receive the invites for upcoming events. And as usual, I always encourage you to use this live stream, not only your opportunity to learn something new, but network with people in the industry. So, and you can network with people in the comments. So I encourage you to ask as many questions as you like on any platform, but please make sure to stay on the topic. So we're talking about really specific topic today, screening interview. So I'm not going to answer any questions about, resumes or, I don't know, LinkedIn and things like that. Yeah, let's just stay on the topic. But if you have any questions, just please drop it in the comments. I can take them offline as well. So if I don't have a chance to reply live, because I do prepare a lot of tips to give you. So hopefully it will be, I'm not going to get over like 6:30 mark, but let's see. Anyway, so, and I encourage you, obviously, as usual, stay till the end of the stream, because it will be a special giveaway at the end for those who've been actively participating. So without any further delays, let's dive into it. So I'll just quickly say hi to a few people. Thank you, James, for joining. Devashish is here. Venus here. Afrin's here. Deepika. Ivandro, thank you so much, guys. It's really nice that you're saying hi. That means actually a lot for me, because, it's not that fun to talk with the crickets, yeah? Anyway, so, especially when you don't have a guest. So let's, I guess, dive into that. So let's just, set a bit of a context. What is actually screening interview, yeah? What's the purpose of the screening interview? So typically, screening interview, it's an initial stage of the hiring process for any company. And the purpose of the screening interview is, quickly evaluate and narrow down the pool of the candidates for a specific job. So it's basically, the purpose is to determine if you meet the minimum requirements for the position, yeah? And assess that potential fit for the company culture, potential fit for the team before even, go to more extensive interviews, technical interviews, tests, and so on. So that's why when I'm talking about screening interview, it's usually really quick, 15, 20 minutes, and it's typically held over the phone, or sometimes it could be a quick video call, then it's set up in advance. And so what I want to kind of highlight here, when it comes to this minimal requirements, obviously it could be some technical requirements. Yeah. So sometimes it's quite straightforward. Yeah. If we're looking, for example, company looking for a senior Java developer, it's pretty obvious that if you never coded in Java before, you're probably not good fit, not good fit for this job. Sometimes it could be really straightforward to it, but not often. There's a lot of interchangeable skills and so on. But here's the thing, even for a technical position, screening interview, it's all about for the interviewer to kind of get a feeling. Can I work with this person? Is this person, likable, curious, quick learner? Is it easy to talk with this person? Am I enjoying talking with this person? Is it someone I'll remember? So, and yeah, you guess it's subjective, yes? And because it's also a really short time, it's only like just 15 minutes, and the hiring manager need to make this decision. So it's all about this, great communication skills. It's all about this first impression. And, the great communication skills often link to the things like your learning ability. Like, yeah, if you have communication skills, usually with the assumption that you will be a quick learner, good problem solver, and so on. And yeah, of course, it could be situations where a company looking for really, really specific technical skills, and it's all about that. And if you've done the exact same project in a previous gig, of course, that's given. But often the success of screening interview is heavily depend on your personality and how well you're communicating. And also, I think one more thing to remember here, the screening interview can be with recruiter, can be with the talent acquisition team, with HR person, hiring manager, but most of the time, like 90% of the time, it's going to be with non-technical person. Yeah. So that's why they're not going to hit you with the deep technical question. Yeah. They just want to get the overview of your skills. And it's all about that ability to explain technical stuff to non-technical people, and keeping it simple, keeping it relevant to them. Again, so screening interview, it's your chance to create this great first impression. Yeah, grab the recruiter's attention. Impress them with like communication skills to stand out to the crowd. So, and I really like this quote here. And I use it quite often. You never get a second chance to create the first impression. I'm not going to go deep, into psychology of the first impression and things. I'm pretty sure you all know that people make a first impression in a few seconds and things like that. So, but just keep in mind, it is really important. Yeah. So it's really hard. Like once the person already built some sort of first impression about you, it's really hard to, go back and create a new impression. So that's why when we're talking about the screening interview, it's all about creating that great first impression. So, and that's basically what I'm going to talk about today, how we can create this great first impression and what are the tips when, during this interview. So first tip, and it's an obvious one. To be honest, all my tips will be obvious, but the saying, we're talking about the common sense. It would be great if the common sense would be that common. Yeah. So I would love to know which tips you enjoy the most. But as I said, it's all about applying them. You might heard it millions of times, but it's all about applying them when you're actually going to interview. And the first tip, have an elevator pitch. Yeah, everyone talks about elevator pitch. So what is it? Elevator pitch is basically that concise summary of who you are, your background, your career goals. So that's your answer on the question, tell me a little bit about myself, or introduce yourself, or tell me a bit your experience. So it's important to have a few versions of your elevator pitch prepared. But for a screening interview, it's best to keep it really short and to the point. Again, remember, the interview itself just limited for about 15-20 minutes. So you don't want to spend majority of the time talking. Yeah, if the interview for 15 minutes and you talk for 10, it's basically 66% of the time you're talking, and person probably want to ask more questions. So you want to make sure that your elevator pitch doesn't go for 15 minutes. And also there is a lot of different structures for elevator pitch, and to be honest, I can run a different live stream. I probably should invite some guests to talk about elevator pitch, because there is so many different components and way you can go about it. But if I'll make it just simplified version of it, usually when we talk about elevator pitch, we talk about present first. Yeah, I don't know, like I'm a Java software developer with 12 years of experience working in the financial industry, focusing, I don't know, on particular features, and I don't know, working in the AWS cloud. Something really simple, what you're doing in the present, what you're passionate about, a little bit about your past. Before I spent, I don't know, 20 years coding in a different language. And then something about your future and why you applying for this role. Yeah. So if I'm simplifying it, really, really basic. So it's a few sentences about your present, few about your past, and a few sentences about your kind of, aspirations and why you apply for this role. And having the well-crafted elevator pitch shows that you're prepared, you're confident, and able to articulate your value quickly and effectively. So obviously, it takes time to get it perfect, and you need to practice a lot. But the good thing, you can practice your elevator pitch everywhere. You can go in events, to the meetup groups, you can do it on the work meetings, calls, and just practice, talk about yourself and in a different situation, and eventually you get the perfect version. So basically, you need to get to the point that you remember it by heart. If someone wake you up in the middle of the night, it should just roll off your tongue. Yeah, just here we go. Practice. Because then if it's roll off your tongue, you don't even need to think about it. Anytime someone calls you, anytime you in any situation, elevator, you can just say it quickly, confidently, without mumbling or anything like that. So yes, make sure and write it down, guys. Write it down. You don't need to make it up, in your mind every time. Just write it down, have it ready. There's a few people actually joining. I just quickly want to say hi. Adam's here, John's here, Pooja's here. Thank you, guys, for joining. And thank you so much for saying hi. As I said, it means a lot for me to know that you're here. So the other, the next tip from here, don't want to, spend too much time on this one, but research the common interview questions. And the questions are similar regardless of the position. As I said, the screening interview is usually really brief. So majority of the time, the talent acquisition team or recruiter gonna ask you similar questions to that. Yeah. So obviously gonna ask you to tell about yourself, and this is your basically elevator pitch. Why you looking for new opportunity, what motivates you to apply for this particular position, what's important for you in your role, what are your strengths, what you're currently working on, what is your current project. So it's a usual common questions, and there is not that hard to be ready to answer those questions, because let's face it, most of the time it's the same questions. And there are a few usually questions just around your notice period, your availability, and salary expectations. Now also people ask if you would like to work from home and would like to work remotely, I want to go to the office. We all know that there is a lot going on at the moment, so some company pushing to the office and some company like people working remotely. So they're probably gonna ask this question in the beginning just to understand what is your position in it, because it could be, for some companies, could be deal breaker, the location as well. So be ready to answer those questions. And as I said, you just can Google them. Yeah, Google them. There's millions of blog posts how to answer those questions. And, use ChatGPT. Yeah, just put your brief thoughts in the ChatGPT and ask him to brush it off. And here's your answer. Like, obviously, not just read it from ChatGPT, but I mean, like, you can create some answers based on it and practice your replies. I probably, should film more videos about actually preparing for the interview, but let's not overthink this today. But the beauty is also your screening interview probably most likely will be over the phone or maybe on video, so you can have your notes ready as well. So you literally can prepare all these questions, write your notes, and if you feel nervous answering something like this, you can look at your notes and remember what you wanted to say. And that's actually that brings me to where's my slide? That brings me to the next tip. Be prepared when answering the phone. And again, seems like common sense, yes, but why not everyone's doing it? Yeah. Firstly, if you're actively looking for a role, I understand sometimes recruiters just call you out of the blue, and it could be some situations and just random number calls you. But if you're actively applying for the jobs, you need to, stay organized and try to keep track of the position you have applied for, because you need to be ready then someone call you. And, often it's from some unknown numbers, and you can put, and it's important to answer any call with some professionalism and, show your interest. You don't want to answer a call and say like, oh, who's this? Like, I know, like sometimes, you get the private number or something, and that's your first reaction. But please try not to do it. Or when the recruiter or the hiring manager telling you where they're calling from, and asking if you remember applying, I actually heard this answer. Some people say just like, oh yeah, I've been applying like everywhere. I don't remember which one is it. So just don't say it. Like, I understand you might don't remember. And I understand that you might be applying for millions of positions, but just don't say it. There is no need to answer the phone this way. So just avoid answering in like disinterested manner or sounding completely unprepared. And just try to avoid picking up calls on the inconvenient situation in general. When you're busy, I don't know, picking up your kids from school, you're on a train with the really poor connection. If you miss the call, just make sure that you send a polite text message indicating that you will call back. And then you can also take this moment to search the phone number, Google it basically, to try to identify the company. And then when you return the call, you're prepared and you're ready to engage in conversation, and you actually know who you're talking with. If I understand sometimes we don't want to miss the call from the hiring manager, but look, sometimes it's probably better to Google the number, understand who's calling you, rather just trying to answer at the same time when you like do shopping. So yeah, just again, keep it in mind. And look, one more thing, as I said, so most of the time it's a phone call, but if this interview been set up as a quick video chat, just please make sure that the video link is working. So make sure to log into this video call just 5 minutes before and check that link is working, camera is working, your microphone is working. It's happening all the time. I'm sure you've noticed you jumping from Google Meets to Microsoft Teams to Zoom, and sometimes you have an allowed camera here or something else happen, and then you're trying to log into your video interview and the technology just fail on you. So just log in 5 minutes earlier. Make sure you do Zoom update and things like that. So again, guys, I guess common sense, but I don't know why, like, just not everyone's doing it. So basically, here's a nice quote for you. By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. By Benjamin Franklin. So it's simple, is more you prepare is better. You can't really over prepare, to be honest. There is always more things to research and try to be ready for. So I really want to give the few tips today, less about preparing for the interview, but more about what to do when you're already talking with the person and interviewing the person. I think I have a question here. A lot of recruiters use personal phone numbers. Yes, yeah. A lot of recruiters use personal phone numbers. There is nothing wrong to send them a text message to this personal number. Just send them a text message and saying, sorry, I missed your call. Could you please let me know who's calling? And yeah, you won't find it on Google, but then there's a chance to send text message. But if it's office number, then you have a higher chance to find which company it is. So coming back to interview, keep it conversational. Look, during the interview, aim to create this conversational atmosphere rather than one-sided exchange of questions and answers. I believe in Australia, and it could be some cultural difference as well, but in Australia there is more often this the screening interview is more relaxed and informal conversation where people appreciate engaging in a friendly chat rather than just this rigid Q&A session. So try not to focus on solely providing correct answer. It's more about your personality, actively interacting with the interviewer, demonstrate this genuine engagement, that to leave this impression, and not just to leave impression that you interviewer just called you and you just basically gave them a short answers to each question. So even if you're not a perfect match for the specific role, if the person engage with you in a nice conversation, they will most likely to remember you. So I think it's quite important to make sure to keep it conversational. And there is a few tips to make sure you do it this way. So, and the one is really, really obvious one. It's stop talking too much. Look, I love this quote by Mark Twain. I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long one. Again, avoid excessive talking, during the interview. Remember, again, keep it conversational. It's not a monologue. If you feel like you're talking too much, it's probably because you're talking too much. Keep in mind that screening interview, again, have time constraints. So you need to allow the interviewer to ask questions that they want to ask. Yeah, so you don't want to give the monologue of 15 minutes and then they feel like they haven't had a chance to even get to the questions they wanted to ask you. And again, listening is a valuable skill. So don't need to fill every moment of silence with the talk, so make sure to listen. And I think some people mistakenly believe that if they, talking extensively about themselves and listing all the achievements, so that's beneficial because they have a chance to tell all the, great things that they have done. However, in reality, it's crucial to provide interviewer with the information they are seeking. Yeah, that in the concise manner. You don't need to overwhelm them with every detail of your background. And it's all about, again, effectively communicating the relevant qualifications and experience and focusing on delivering the key points that align with the questions. Don't need to go off the tangent. And look, straight away, the opposite tip is don't respond with one-liners. And it's coming back to this, keeping the things conversational. You don't want to talk for, 10 minutes nonstop, but you also don't want to just respond with 1 second, yes, no, maybe, I don't know. So because again, like, if you're responding simply with just yes, no, you can come across a bit robotic, again, disinterested, lacking the engagement. So again, try to provide more thoughtful answers and showcase your interest, your knowledge, and your ability to communicate effectively. So finding this balance, it's about finding this balance. You don't want to be too long with your answers, but you don't want to do to be just yes, no. Sometimes it's almost like interviewer talking with a spy, trying to get the information from the candidate. And it's a cultural difference, I think, as well. There's definitely some cultural difference. Some culture people more like talking about trying to say everything and go on a monologue about themselves for like 10 years. And some people, like, I think because I'm Russian, I can relate. I think Russians and Eastern Europeans, we're a bit more like reserved, and we tend to like just give the really short one sentence answers, which is, not engaging enough. So it's about finding this balance. And I feel like, in Australia, it's more about this conversation and, actually having conversation rather than the interview. Another point that's kind of really similar, just to put it all together for you, if you to continue that sort of conversation, make sure you ask follow-up question after you giving your answer. So just to keep that conversation flow, So engage, like, ask the interviewer if they would like to, if they would like you to expand on a particular topic. Is anything else they would like you to cover? And so again, demonstrating that interest and providing the relevant information. So if they ask you about, tell me about your current project. Yes, you can say like, I don't know, like currently I'm working as a DevOps engineer, and we work on migration from on-premises to the cloud. And I don't know, I'm using some tools like Terraform and building everything with like Jenkins pipeline. And then you ask, you don't go on the tangent again for like 10 minutes describing every single, I don't know, tool you're using and everything you're doing in this project. You give the review, you gave like few sentences of overview of what you're doing. And then you ask, would you like me to elaborate on it? Would you like me to address anything in more detail? So it's just some kind of examples. So in this case, again, like you engaging in the conversation and you let people to ask the questions that they really want to ask, because they might not need to listen to the whole things that you've been doing in this project. They really want to find those sort of relevant pieces of information. So again, before I get to the next tips, I think there was few answers here. We were talking about leaving a messages. I usually dial a number and possibly drop voicemail. So look, voicemail is fine. I find it sometimes voicemail getting lost, because when you're leaving the voicemail, so it means that someone physically need to, dial their voice message and listen to the voicemail. SMS could be actually more, more effective than the voice message sometimes. Personal preference. I think we talk about it a lot in the previous stream. I think it was a stream here. I interview a few recruiters, and we talk about the communication with recruiters specifically. And I think, it's a personal reference. Some people like talk on the phone. Some people like connect on LinkedIn. Some people like, SMS, and some people like email. So look, different people like communicate different ways. So sometimes you just need to find out what's the preferable way to communicate with the hiring manager. So John saying, in the US, you've got to talk. The more you run the relevant information, the more you consider it. Here we go. I don't think that's the case here in Australia, John. I think it's more about, relating to the having a conversation with the person and relate more on a personal level. Remember, we're a small market. We're only 25 million people here. That's bring me to the my next tip is adapt your style to match the interviewer. And look, I'm not suggesting you, what's in the picture. I'm not suggesting you to wear the same things that the interviewer does, but try to adapt your communication style to match the interviewer. So, for example, if the person speaks slow with you, adjust and, start speaking a bit slowly. If the person speaks quickly, try to keep up and talk quickly. So you need to kind of mirror the communication style. I think also if you have been watching my live streams for a while, you can notice it even in my interviews when I'm interviewing my speakers on my live streams. If my speaker is really like talking really fast, like Jonathan last week, for example, I'm talking quite fast as well. And, with Jonathan last week, we just slammed enormous amount of information in 1 hour. But some people tend to talk more like slower, the structure their sentences differently and so on. So, and usually that means that I will be asking questions in a different style as well. So, so just make sure then, if someone really talking really fast and asking questions really fast, don't just, slow down your speech and vice versa. And also mirror the level of formality as well. If person is having really, formal sort of voice, not voice, but like, started the interview quite formal, you probably have to stick to it. But the person is started interview more informal, with a small talk, talking about weather or just, so you can engage in that small talk and, maybe answer a little bit more informal as well. So I think it's quite important because you don't want this massive difference and someone asking you really formal question and you just answering in a relaxed manner, or vice versa, and the person kind of trying to be more informal and relate to you, and you just like trying to stay formal and thank you, sir. Thank you for your question. So I'm gonna give you the throw-out answer. So try to adapt your style. And remember, people naturally gravitate towards others who are similar to them. So it's ingrained in human psychology. So utilize that, this understanding to build this rapport and establish this positive connection with the interviewer. Which brings me to the next point. Pay attention to your body language. So we need to pay attention to our body language probably everywhere in life, but you need to actually pay attention to your body language even if you're not on video. Yes? So obviously in video it's more crucial, but even if you're not on video, even if you're talking with the interviewer on the phone, make sure you stand up straight or like sit up straight, open your chest, take deep breaths. It's incredible how much difference it makes in your voice. And remembering to smile as well. We heard it so many times that smile can be heard in your voice when you're on the phone. And obviously, if you're on video, it becomes even more crucial to be mindful of your body language. Make sure look straight into the camera, avoid unnecessary movements. Use the gestures that actually enhancing your speech and not distracting. So if presenting in front of the camera is challenging for you, I would actually really recommend you to watch some of my old videos. I probably should repost them on this channel as well. But I have a series of videos about how to feel confident in front of the camera with millions of tips there. But the main things, I guess, here it's if you're on video, again, look directly into the camera, smile. And, avoid some, when I'm saying unnecessary movements, and like, don't just start like rolling on the chair, like, looking at your hair, like adjusting things, rolling, just don't. I mean, like if you kind of freeze and don't move at all, it also looks awkward. But I think it's better than like shaking in the chair, because it just will be too distracting. If you feel like you're uncomfortable, like moving naturally in front of the camera, just better don't move, seriously. But once you feel more comfortable, then you start, incorporate some movements that related to your speech and related to your answers, and not just some random movements that kind of like distract rather than helping you with your answers. So it takes a bit of a time. It takes a bit of practice, but nothing too crazy complicated. And once you feel comfortable with, controlling your body language, also try mirroring the interviewer body language as well. So same thing that I'm mentioning about adapting to the interviewer style. So yes, you can actually mirror them and copy their body language as well. But look, like if you still not feel comfortable doing it, don't try to do it awkwardly, because it will be noticeable. But with the practice, it comes naturally. It's kind of unconscious move. Like if someone, if you interview a seat like this, you just naturally will copy their pose usually. If someone like lean back, you will lean back. If someone moving forward, you will move forward. So you need to be conscious about it, but like don't try just like repeat what the interviewer does. Yes, so it will be too noticeable. So it needs to be subtle, but it does make a difference. You'll be surprised. People will relate, and you're trying to relate to them, even if it's just something simple that copying their pose. So the other thing, using humor appropriately. So I think that's a good one. So look, if it feels appropriate, crack the joke, yeah. Because incorporating a few jokes into the interview can make you appear, more human, more memorable. Laughter creates this positive connection. Being seen as a positive person, there is a lot of pluses, but it's really critical to read the audience and context accurately before doing that. Yeah, if you will try to like force a joke or remember some random dad joke from your childhood, it might have a really negative consequences. So if your humor is not really your strong thing, maybe it's better to refrain from attempting any jokes. But remember, like if you can make it naturally, and with maintaining the professionalism and finding the right balance, that would be a great thing to do. So why I'm saying that? Because imagine, again, depends on the situation, but imagine here's a hiring manager. They got 100 applications for the role. And it could be, let's say it's more like not a junior role, but maybe a role that doesn't require really, really specific technical skills. Yeah. So there's a lot of people with that skill. So they narrow down the pool of candidates. They get to the 10. They quickly, call 10 people for the quick screening interview. So if everyone have the relevant skills, relevant experience, similar salary expectations, similar notice period, like how do they choose who going to be shortlisted? Yeah. So it's simply who they will remember and who they have the best conversation with. And look, I don't know, like if you did make the person laugh, they just simply will remember you, because they remember like, oh yeah, that person, like I enjoyed talking to them. It was engaging. We had fun. So I'll shortlist them. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds maybe, not that professional like you want, But if it's the same skills and same relevant experience, as I said, especially the role that doesn't require any like high qualifications, that would be simply the choice. So you need to make sure that the person remember the call that they made, and that actually remember that actually spoken with you. And Devash saying sometimes never know, the interviewer may not connect with the humor, and look, that's correct. Like, as I said, like, if you 100% sure, crack the joke. If you're unsure, probably don't. And sometimes, like if the person is quite informal and you already engage, so look, you can do it. And I'm not talking about like telling like a massive storytelling joke. I'm talking about something really simple. Yeah, like a one-liner that just makes sense. Look, it's a subjective tip, I know, but I think in the right circumstances, it can work really, really well. And yeah, John saying, people always remember those who made them smile. And actually, there is a really great quote that I really like on this note. It goes like, people will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel. And I think that's one of the, do I have it here? Here we go. I actually have the quote here somewhere. And that's something to remember, especially if you only had a brief interaction with the person. They're not going to remember, what was in your previous job description. But if you make them feel good, they will remember you. So, and again, remember, we're talking about screening interview here. We're talking about this first interaction with the hiring manager, first interaction with like recruiter, and first interaction with the company. So we're talking about this first impression. Yeah, when you're going down the track for like few other rounds of interviews, that could be different situation, different tips. But we're really concentrating today about on this first impression and how to get through to this next round and be shortlisted. So the next tip, I don't know why I have so many monkeys in my presentation today. It just happens. It was unintentionally. The next tip is focus on highlighting your strengths. Yep. So when discussing your skills, focus on your strengths without veering off track. Avoid mentioning unfamiliar tools or technology that you may be not proficient in it, and it all can lead you to the rabbit hole. Don't feel compelling to bring up things that you haven't been directly asked, and especially if you're not confident in those areas. And I see it all the time. People do it really often. For example, if an interviewer asking you about your cloud computing skills, yeah, and you need to emphasize your expertise in the areas you excel and have extensive experience in. There is no need mentioning something and saying like, oh, look, I'm not really good with Terraform. I don't know. Unless someone actually asks you directly, have you worked with Terraform? Yeah. If no one asks you that, why would I say something that you're not really good at? Steer the conversation towards showcasing your strong skills and qualification, not something you, touched and didn't really learn that much. If they didn't ask you, why would you say it? Yeah. So make sure to highlighting your strengths and concentrating on your strengths, especially in the beginning. I'm not talking about, bragging about yourself. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about avoiding the rabbit holes, and you start talking about something you don't really know. And then interviewer ending up asking you more clarification questions on this topic, and you're just digging yourself deeper, deeper, and deeper. So please don't do that. Talk about things that you're really confident about. And the next point from there is clarify the question is if you're unsure. So if you're not unsure about the question that the recruiter or hiring manager asks you, avoid just providing a random answer and hoping for the best. Yeah. So you heard the familiar word and you just start talking about it. Don't do it. Instead, take the initiative to clarify this question by rephrasing it. Yeah. And rather than saying something like, oh, what did you say? I didn't get it. Can you repeat it? Yeah. Don't need to do that. Yeah. try to rephrase it back to interviewer. For example, that's example on the screen. Say something, if I understand correctly, you're asking me, if I have experience using this specific tool to solve this particular problem. Did I understand, is my understanding correct? Did I understand it correctly? This approach shows that you actually actively engage and trying to provide the relevant response instead of just try to talk about anything that at least a little bit relevant. Yeah. And look, sometimes not every interviewer, perfect as well. So sometimes people do ask questions that they maybe didn't structure correctly, or they maybe don't know how to ask this specific thing as well. So don't assume that interviewer is perfect and know exactly what they're asking. But try to understand them. So try to understand and ask those clarifying questions to dig deeper and do I understand correctly that that's what you're trying to ask me? Yeah. So because I lost my thought, You see? I've been talking for 45 minutes and now I forgot what I wanted to say. Because you need to basically give the relevant information. And again, don't get yourself in the rabbit hole. And sometimes you might not understand the question also because of the accent as well. Yeah, that's really common. Especially when we're nervous, someone speaks with the accent, we don't really understand, and we feel a bit, uncomfortable about it. We don't want to just say, please repeat it again over and over. Rephrase the question back. Yeah. Again, instead of just saying, what did you say? Can you repeat again? Say again. Instead of this, try to rephrase the question back and ask if you understand correctly. So quite important. It's actually make the conversation again flow a bit better. And another point that's sort of similar to it, similar but different, is be honest when you don't know something. Yeah. Be honest about the areas that you're unfamiliar, and don't hesitate to admit that you don't know something. But go beyond just simply saying, that you don't know, that you lack this knowledge. Try to provide some examples of how you can acquire these new skills and knowledge. Instead of simply saying no, I haven't worked with this tool, or no, I don't have any experience in it. Try to make some comparison, with similar tool or project you're proficient in. So try to highlight the ability to adapt and learn this new skill, learn quickly. So demonstrate the willingness to learn and adapt, showcase that you would like to acquire the skills. Yeah. So I don't know, some simple example would be, I don't know, the Terraform keep coming in my mind. Yeah. So if someone asking you, oh, did you work with Terraform? And you say no, I haven't, I don't work with Terraform, and just leave it there. That's one answer. But if someone asking you, oh, did you work with Terraform? You can say I didn't work directly, I don't know, with Terraform, but I've been working extensively with Ansible, and I understand what's, the areas that different and areas that similar, and I'm confident I can learn it in a short time, or something like that. So there's millions of examples. You can talk about different technology like this, because there is a lot of transferable kind of skills and transferable principles with technology. So be honest about what you don't know. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Be honest that you don't know and didn't work with something, so don't need to make it up. But at the same time, when you're saying that you don't know something, add about your willingness to learn it and acquire new skills, or maybe even give an example how you learn something in a short time before on your previous job, or when you join some previous role, you learn something on the spot. And Another one, I just want to, add this tip here as well. Again, seems like common sense, but please remember your resume details. Please remember what you put in your resume, because you need to ensure consistency by remembering these details that you included in your resume, because interviewers often have your resume in front of them and may ask questions specific questions about the project or tools you mentioned in there. So it's obviously crucial that you're familiar with the content of your resume, because if you appear surprised by question based directly on your resume, that can create definitely can create negative impression, and it might make interviewer sort of questioning everything in your resume in this case, because if you don't remember putting that in your resume, so what else is in there that you don't remember? And that's why make sure you take time to review your resume before interview and be prepared to discuss your previous experience in details. And also, some of us adjusting our resumes for the different roles. So you might, highlight particular skills, or change some achievements around or something like that. So remember what version of resume you send to send when applying to this role. So you actually remember what you highlight in your resume, and you expect the questions around that. Because it definitely will look strange if you specifically been asked about something that's been written down and you can't answer this question or can't remember what exactly it's all about. Here's a joke here for you on the screen. My resume is just a list of things I really never want to do again. So hopefully it's not you. And so I'm cautious about the time. It's already 15 minutes. 50 minutes into my stream, so I think I have two more tips that I prepared, so bear with me, and I'll try to answer the questions that you put in the comments. So, and actually last tip is ask meaningful question at the end. Here we go. That's related to you guys. You can ask some meaningful questions as well in the next 7 minutes. So obviously at the end of the interview, when you're given the opportunity to ask questions, make sure you ask them, because asking meaningful questions demonstrate your interest and engagement. So consider being company specific, by when you're asking these questions. So you hopefully did some sort of research about the company before. And you can answer some questions about, particular product, particular feature. Maybe ask them to further clarification on how the particular team works in their company, or some tools incorporated between each other or something. So if you can ask company-specific questions, great, if you had the chance to do the research. If you in the situation that you didn't have a chance to do the research, that's okay. So you can ask something more about company culture, what employers enjoy about working in this company, what are the biggest challenges and opportunity for this company in the coming year. And it also can give you some valuable insights, and you can see obviously the reaction of the interviewer, then they answering those sort of questions. Then make sure ask something specific to the role. Yeah, what challenges and opportunity in this particular role? Yeah, this role brings. How my performance will be measured in this role, and so anything else that you find in the job description that might wanna ask. And also a really good question to ask is something in line of how do I compare it with other candidates who interview for this role? Because this question can straight away give you kind of the feeling if they're going to shortlist you or not. Yeah. But also this question can give you a chance, maybe tell interview a bit more about experience. If they're saying like, I don't know, like they're saying like, oh yes, we have a few good candidates who have more experience in this, or we just started the process. I don't know, like, so you might find this reply quite interesting, and you might be able to add something based on this reply, and also give you a bit of feeling where you at in the sort of shortlisting process. So okay, so we have 5 minutes left. I'm cautious about the time. So I'll just quickly look through if we have any questions for me. John is saying, while discussing with the recruiter, once I made a short joke of possible apps that could be developed for the Apple Vision. I was shocked when he told me that I passed, and he can't wait to see me in the next round. It all depends. Here we go. So obviously it was a right joke to make. Devashish is saying, thanks, Yana. The stream seems really informative. May I know the link, the meetup group, please? Thank you, Devashish, for a comment. Yes, so I'll the link for the meetup group should be just in the top comments there. John is asking, I was once asked about browser APIs in a very weird way. Had to restrain myself from laughing, but I rendered an appropriate answer thought. That's, you probably good idea to restrain yourself from laughing when the interview is not laughing. But again, the rephrasing is helping. So you can basically just, use that exactly this structure. If I understand correctly, that's what you're asking me about APIs. Am I correct? So anyway, guys, I'm cautious about the time. I hope you enjoy. So I have a question for you that will be really, really helpful for me. If you can, please put in the comments one tip from today. So I think I went through about like 15 different little tips. Please tell me what was one tip that made sense to you. It's one tip that kind of like basically your favorite, the tip that created maybe a little aha moment for you, or maybe reinforce something that you've been thinking before. So something that you can apply tomorrow, if you go to interview. So if you can put it in the comments, that would be really, really valuable feedback for me. So please, put one tip from today in the comments. We talk a lot about preparation, communication, engagement, body language, highlighting the strengths, being honest, asking questions. So please let me know the one tip that actually you feel was really good for you. And thank you so much, obviously, for staying till the end. So I want to highlight one thing for you. That's one of my favorite quotes as well. I hear and I forget. I see and remember. I do and I understand. You can hear these tips millions of times. You can, look at them written down. But unless you start doing it and applying it, you're not gonna, progress. So it's all about practicing. And you can practice in front of a mirror. You can write things down. You can practice with the friends. And I also, if as I said, there will be some giveaway at the end. I also do offer interview coaching sessions. That's basically when you can practice your skills. We can do the mock-up interview and get immediate feedback. So if you've been staying with me on this stream for all this time, you can actually, here we go, I'll bring in the screen. You can use this promo code on my website. So you're going to Yana Martens' website. I'll put it in the comments after. And you can use this particular promo code to put in a session, and you will get basically 60% of the session. So there will be limited amount of codes that you can use. So I'm assuming, whoever is here, it should be enough for everyone. So you can go to the website, you can shoot me a message, use this code, and get a discount for interview coaching session. And if you have any further questions for me about anything, about the interviews and recruitment process, please, feel free to shoot me a quick message on LinkedIn. Also, if you feel like that I'm going live every Wednesday. So if you have any topics in mind or anything, any guests that you think I need to bring to my live streams, I'm always open for some suggestions. So please share with me, let me know what sort of topics you want me to cover. So here's my email address on the screen as well, so you can email me. But I think the easiest way is always to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm quite responsive on LinkedIn. I do hang on LinkedIn a lot. So the high chance if you're on LinkedIn, I'll probably reply to you on LinkedIn. And also next week is what's next week? Next week is 5th of July. Next week we're going to talk about choosing your tech career. University versus alternative education. So I think that's a question that a lot of young people probably, and not only young people, asking themselves, should I go to uni and study, IT for 4 years and go do masters and things like that? Or should I just go to a boot camp and learn on the job and things like that? So that's a discussion that we're going to have next week, Wednesday, 5th of July. So if you're in a situation when you're thinking about, what you need to do, so that would be a great session to attend. And guys, obviously, if you enjoy my discussion with myself, our discussion, please make sure to like this video and share it with people who need to hear this. It's obviously really important for me because it's encouraging me to keep going and keep bringing the various guests from my network to share their knowledge, and obviously run the sessions like tonight where, I can share my thoughts and, my tips as well. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel to make sure you get notification about upcoming events. And look, it costs you nothing to subscribe to YouTube channel, but means a lot to me. And also, you can burn some calories while you're pressing that subscribe button. So I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube this year. So I'm really looking forward to your help. I have obviously like 20,000 people on LinkedIn watching me, but no one goes to the YouTube. So please make sure you're watching me on LinkedIn. Visit my YouTube channel as well, because you can see all the previous live stream in the nice playlist, and it's easy to find different topics. So it's more organized there. So that's why I also encourage you to subscribe there, so you can keep track of all the discussions. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for your interaction. John is saying, thank you, bunch. Enjoy every bit of it. Thank you, John. James saying, get to know the person what is interviewing you. Always being friendly and personable in an interview. Yes, perfect. And John saying, ask about the other candidates. Yeah, that's I'm great. I'm glad you like that tip. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much again for watching me. I'll see you next Wednesday. Shoot me any message on LinkedIn if you have any further questions. See you next week. Bye.